Once viewed as one of Africa's most stable democracies, Kenya is now on tenterhooks. This as accusations of voter fraud mar its presidential election. Now, the two main contenders are Prime Minister Raila Odinga and his deputy Uhuru Kenyatta. Kenyatta is due to stand trial at the International Criminal Court over his alleged role in the violence after the 2007 poll. Now, so far, he's ahead in the counting, but Odinga's camp is claiming that votes have been doctored. The official results are supposed to be announced this coming Monday. So could the country see a repeat of the ethnic violence that erupted after that 2007 election? And what impact will this poll have on a country that's still reeling from the effects of those riots? Now, with me to talk about this is Ebba Colombel, the Africa editor here at France 24, Douglas Yates, an Africa specialist and professor of political science at the American University of Paris, Monicah Andefa, who's a Kenyan project manager currently living in Paris, from Nairobi, Abdullahi Halakhe, who's a specialist on the Africa Horn, and we're also hoping from Nairobi to be talking to Bett, a spokesman for the presidential candidate Raila Odinga. We did ask for somebody to talk to us from the Kenyatta's campaign, but they declined the invitation. But first, Duncan WOODSIDE reports on just how worried Kenyans are about this vote.
Normal life here in Kenya's capital has nearly ground to a halt. To keep themselves occupied, residents in the Matare slum gather to watch the results trickle in. It's a way for them to control their anxiety.
It caused a lot of tension because many people, they are asking themselves how and what is happening, you know.
You can see here we are just sharing with our friends from different tribes. So we believe that we are all Kenyans.
We're just praying for peace because we don't know how to ensure our children's safety. It's very stressful.
Since Monday, when the country went to the polls, schools have been closed. Many people have left Nairobi to stay with relatives in the countryside. Others have literally shut up shop. And those who haven't are taking precautions.
The business, it's down. Very few customers are coming because like now, even the stock, we have removed the stock and put them in a safe place.
For many Kenyans here, a definitive end to these elections cannot come soon enough. Some still have traumatic memories of the violence in 2007 to 2008, so all they want to do is return to work and get on with their lives.
And let's now cross to Duncan WOODSIDE, who's in Nairobi. Duncan, the running mate of Raila Odinga, has called for the count to be halted following accusations of vote rigging. Have we had any response yet from electoral officials?
Well, at the moment, yes, Kalonzo Musyoka, who is the running mate of Raila Odinga, has called for a halt to the vote count. He's alleging that there is vote rigging going on, that the results are being doctored, which would suggest that the Odinga camp thinks there's systematic fraud. Now, the Electoral Commission, they've said they won't be stopping the count. In fact, they're continuing with the count at the moment.
Duncan, the official word is those results are going to be announced on Monday. Is that actually going to happen?
Well, in fact, at the moment, we're probably looking at a release of results, final results, sometime tomorrow. At the moment, we have just over 6 million votes counted out of probably around 10 million. That represents a turnout of 70%. And as things stand at the moment, Uhuru Kenyatta has a substantial lead, around 52% of valid votes compared to just over 40% for Raila Odinga. That raises the prospect of a potential outright first-round victory for Uhuru Kenyatta.
Duncan, what has been the reaction so far to those accusations from the Odinga camp? What are people saying?
Well, essentially, it's added to a sense of nervousness within Nairobi and also other parts of the country. Today, we went out into the Matare slum. It's an area of Nairobi, and those were the people that we were speaking to in the report there that you just broadcast. And, you know, the news from the press conference from Kalonzo Musyoka's disputing of the results, that came through while we were in the slum. And basically, it just added to the nervousness on the ground. People went very quiet when they heard that news, and they're fearing for the next few days, I think.
Duncan WOODSIDE reporting there from Nairobi. Thank you. And at this point, I want to bring in Bett, who's from the campaign for Raila Odinga. Let me talk to you, Franklin Bett, about these very strong allegations in regards to the fact that these votes your camp is claiming have been rigged. How can you be sure that that indeed is the case?
It began from the beginning when the machines which were supposed to be used failed, and the system that was adapted manual using a register which had not been ascertained with anybody. And this is the same register which was used in the year 2007. It is manipulable in the sense that it can even allow a person who is dead to vote. And that is one area which we are saying opened the whole exercise to possible rigging. Two, it is a requirement in law that a presiding officer shall transmit the results electronically and shall submit to the headquarters a form 34, 35, 36 to confirm the results as transmitted electronically. The electronic transfer failed because the server, which was with IEBC, collapsed.
But given, Franklin...
So that also gives a possibility to manipulation. And there is also the fear and suspicion. Why was this electronic system failing? Was somebody interfering from away the IEBC? Yes or no?
But Franklin, these are very inflammatory comments to make at a time of high tension in Kenya. Why did Kalonzo Musyoka actually go public with these claims as opposed to just going quietly to the Electoral Commission and putting in his concerns?
The IEBC, in its own wisdom, refused to brief the political parties as to why the results were not being transmitted electronically. They reluctantly, half-heartedly disclosed yesterday that the system collapsed. And I want to believe that was also sensitive in the ears of the public. So we were simply stating a fact by saying the system had failed, and IEBC disclosed it publicly.
Are you saying that you have no confidence in any result that will be announced in the days ahead as a result of these allegations?
Yesterday morning, IEBC, together with all the presidential agents of all political parties, met, ventilated, discussed, and agreed that in view of the fact that the electronic transmission had failed, we were now going to use manual, using the form that was brought in singly by the returning officer from the field, accompanied by police officers. Those forms now were supposed to be verified by agents in the presence of IEBC staff. It was agreed, and the exercise started in earnest. And by the time it was being stopped, the verification had gone well without a hitch through 16 constituencies. And all the parties were involved. None was complaining. None was objecting to the procedure being used. So why did IEBC renege on the agreement to verify the results?
But will you?
We simply don't know, and that led to all political parties to express disgust, and we were in a joint press conference expressing the same.
Are you demanding a recount?
We are not demanding a recount. We are simply demanding the exercise that was started, a good exercise started yesterday, of all the parties being involved in verification. That is all we are asking for. Verifying the contents of Form 34, Forms 35 and 36. That's all we are asking for. We are not asking for a recount.
Franklin Bett, just stay with us. Douglas Yates, given what you've just heard, what sort of impact are these accusations going to have on the election?
They're absolutely deadly. The major issue in this election is, in a deeply divided society, will the losers accept losing? Normally you would count on the opposition claiming electoral fraud, but here you actually have a technical failure. If scientists were the ones running elections, and I wait for that day, not just technicians, but scientists, they would have a new vote and they would get a correct measurement. Here you have a flawed measurement and it just plays into the hand of an opposition.
Eba, how important is this election and how important is stability in Kenya to the whole region, not to mention to the rest of the world?
It's vital for the region, vital for Kenya. The GIP has gone down so dramatically since 2007 for an economy which is basically the hub of the East African region. It's the strongest economy in the region, and also a political structure that is extremely involved in the war on terror in neighboring Somalia. So not only is stability important for Kenyans inside their country, but stability in Kenya is extremely important for the region as well, politically, on a security basis, and also definitely economically.
Abdullahi Halakhe in Nairobi, again, I just want to get your reaction to these allegations from the Odinga camp. What do you think will happen as a result of these accusations? I'm sorry, I think we're having technical problems. Hopefully we'll get back to Abdullahi in a moment. Monicah, you're a Kenyan living here in Paris. Are you worried about what's going to happen next? I mean, given how high those tensions are in the country and given the fears that we could indeed see a return to the violence that we saw in 2007, 2008?
Yes, as a Kenyan living far away from home, it's very worrying. I have my family, most of my family back at home, like anyone else in the diaspora, and a repeat of what happened in 2007, 2008 is too much to bear, because you have the media, you have images, you have lots of information, you don't know if it's verified or not, you have connectivity problems with people back home. So, I mean, I personally wouldn't want to see us go back to this situation. And I thought we were better prepared. We've had a new constitution. We've said we're setting systems in place. So we would expect that this should work. Why we're having technical issues right now, I also don't understand, because I think before you set up a system, you should try it, test it. So, I mean,
But it wasn't the fact is that they had run a series of trials before they went ahead with the vote.
This is what I think, but then if you run trials, then you should have basically seen the hiccups, and you should have found a way to deal with the hiccups. So before you set the system on a larger scale, we are assuming that, should this happen, then you have a plan B or another way to sort it out. But the way it is right now, you get the feeling that it's all new, it's being done for the first time, which is very disappointing.
Abdullahi in Nairobi, let me ask you again, Franklin Bett there from the Odinga camp has made some very serious accusations in regards to vote rigging and the fact that they are demanding a halt to the counting as such. Again, in your opinion, what impact will it have on the outcome of this election?
Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can now.
Thank you so much. I was at the press conference that Franklin Bett's party held this morning, and the level of accusation was indeed very strong. But I want to start from the top. In terms of preparation, like the speaker before me proceeded saying, I want to raise two critical issues here. Number one, the level of faith that we had placed in technology, to the extent that we made technology an end in itself instead of being part of the process, is one huge problem. Number two, because of lack of the infrastructure on which these technologies could run is a big problem as well. Because we have only 20% of the country that has got access to electricity, internet connection is not that strong. So in my opinion, BVR is a software, but it required a hardware, that is the infrastructure that was lacking. Closely related to that was that the IBC failed to manage the expectations. IBC said, it's all systems go, we will be fine, there is no problem. So people expected a lot, but IBC promised a lot and delivered little. But going back to the accusation, these are very serious accusations. In 2007, one of the reasons that we had what we had was because of serious institutional deficits. We have a new constitution. This is not just any other election. This is a generational election, transitional election. We are having 6 votes on the same day. That the institutions that we trusted with this, particularly the IEBC, is not working, is extremely serious. But we also have a reformed judiciary. These matters could ideally be dealt with the judiciary. And I would want to understand from Honorable Franklin Bett if that option is being explored, because they said at the press conference that we are raising serious concerns about the integrity of the IEBC and the votes. So we have other options to be explored. Because if we have problem with IEBC and we take it to court, that means we have got trust in the local institutions. So I just wanted to know it from him. But on a very useful note, I think we will not be where we were in 2007, 2008. The institutions, particularly the judiciary, the police, and political parties have moved in that direction. Was this an ideal election? Far from that. But changing political culture takes a very, very long time. But I think things have changed dramatically.
Abdullahi, I'm afraid we're just going to hold there for a moment because we're going to have to take a short break now. Actually, sorry, we do have some extra time, and at this point, let me very quickly bring in Franklin Bett. You just heard there what Abdullahi said. He talked about this new constitution and whether that will give you an opportunity to pursue these claims as such. What is your response to what Abdullahi said?
I must thank the gentleman who has just spoken, because he has spoken exactly what IEBC did. They gave a lot of hope to the people, a lot of expectations, and lo and behold, the first thing that happened was that the EVR failed virtually and invariably everywhere across the country. And we had been made to believe that it was going to be the magic tool on a free and a fair election. I also want to underline the fact that we are looking for transparency, we are looking for fairness, and we are looking for peace. We are looking for calmness, and that is why we have kept on telling the people.
Franklin Bett, I'm terribly sorry, we're going to have to leave it there. We're going to just take a short break. Do stay with us here for the second part of the Frans van Cat debate, looking at tensions in Kenya as the counting continues in that presidential election.